It's been almost 3 years since CS2 was released, and all we've gotten is a whole bunch of nothing. We've had no new operations, no new game modes, no new maps, no ban waves, no new guns, and even the major coins still look the exact same for the last 7 years. The last operation we had was Riptide, which was all the way back in 2021. That's 5 years without a single operation. And keep in mind that operations already weren't that exciting or innovative to begin with. Ever since Shattered Web, they've had the same boring repetitive missions. It's not like they were that amazing, but it was still something to do, and you got a new medal if you cared about that. But now, Valve can't be bothered to copy and paste the old missions, and they definitely can't be bothered designing a new coin, because that takes effort, which we all know Valve hates doing. Now we have a weekly mission that you can do for XP, but it's not the same. We haven't had any new game modes since Retakes was introduced in 2020, and before that, it was Danger Zone in 2018. Since then, we haven't had anything new or fresh. They haven't even been able to bring back all the old game modes from CSGO. They've been bringing back one game mode every year, so it looks like they're actually adding new content. In reality, they're just bringing back old content that we lost. In 2024, they brought back Arms Race. In 2025, they brought back Retakes. In 2026, I assume they'll bring back Flying Scoutsman or maybe Demolition. Then next year, they'll probably bring back Danger Zone. So it'll take Valve 5 years to bring back all the content from CSGO. The reason Valve spreads everything out is so it looks like they're always working on something. The last real ban wave we've had was back in 2022. We haven't had an actual real ban wave for 4 years. Valve obviously has given up on detecting cheats, and they've shifted their focus fully towards AI and back live, which still doesn't work, and it bans more legit players than cheaters. Every other month, we have a new false ban wave that causes thousands of people to receive game bans on their accounts, and every time that happens, Valve has to downplay it and say only a small number of people were affected. Even if that was true, that's still unacceptable, especially from a multi-billion-dollar company. The fact that we've had like 10 false ban waves in the last 2 years is pathetic. They keep turning back live off for weeks because it keeps banning legit players, and then they turn it back on and you'd expect the issue to be resolved, but then it goes right back to falsely flagging people. Valve has moved on from their old philosophy, where it's better to let cheaters go free if it means not a single innocent person gets banned. They stopped caring about that a long time ago, and now hundreds of legit players are getting cooldowns and they couldn't care less. There are still people from 2023 that got banned for having high DPI, and they never got unbanned. In every false ban wave, there's always some people who never get unbanned, but they have no voice or influence, and nobody believes them when they try speaking up about it, so their bans never get removed. The entire reason Overwatch existed was because Valve didn't want AI to be judge, jury, and executioner. But Overwatch isn't in CS2 and probably never was. Every so-called Overwatch ban was always something else. Now AI just determines your guilt, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you cry to Steam support, they'll say, tough shit. If you cry on Reddit or Twitter, you better go viral and be a well-known streamer. Otherwise, you'll only get crickets. AI is still too unreliable and makes so many mistakes, but companies insist on using it because they're cheap and they want to save money. We all know Valve is lazy and does the absolute bare minimum, but remember when we actually got new guns added to the game, like the Revolver or MP5? Sure, the Revolver was a disaster when it was first added, but it was at least fun and something different. Back when we had holiday gimmicks, like being a ghost in Casual, or Halloween Cobblestone, or even small cosmetic things like the payday masks, the chickens wearing Santa hats or being zombies, the bomb being festive, or throwing snowballs, or anything? Yeah, we haven't had anything like that in years. Nothing for Halloween or Christmas, nothing for the anniversary, nothing at all. It's funny that every anniversary, people expect Valve to do something, and they never do anything. Not even a useless Twitter post. Even that ended up being too much effort for them. Cash and Cobblestone are still not in the game, and at this rate, Cobblestone probably won't be in the game for another 2 years. If we're lucky, Cash will be introduced by the end of the year, year, which hopefully it gets a lot of changes by then, because in its current state, it's pretty ugly. All we get every few months are temporary maps that are community made, and after a week, no one plays them anymore, because everyone knows the map is going to be removed. So why bother learning it or mastering it when it won't be there in a couple of months? The premier map pool only has like 4 playable maps, since literally no one likes Ancient or Train. Train was one of my favorite maps in CSGO, and they completely butchered it. Ancient has always been awful, and if you actually like it, there's something seriously wrong with you. Valve rarely does updates, and when they do, it always breaks the game entirely. I don't get why they don't do some beta tests like how they used to. They do one update every 4 months, and they still manage to completely fuck it up. They don't ever playtest anything. They just ship out an update, and if it breaks the game, then oopsie. Guess we'll have to fix that so it can look like we're doing more work, but we're really just fixing what we broke. Don't bother trying to complain about it on the Global Offensive subreddit, because they delete all threads that are critical of Valve or complain about cheaters. When the last false ban wave was going on, you would think there'd be at least one thread that warned people not to play matchmaking. But no, they just swept everything under the rug, because they're just Valve shills at the end of the day, and they do it for free, which is the sad part. And what content have they actually pushed out in the last few years? Well, they've pushed out new cases, which they don't even design the skins anymore. They made the armory pass so you can give them more money. They added useless new gun animations, which look moronic. They changed the knife sounds, so now they sound like nails on a chalkboard. The game still somehow doesn't feel as smooth as CSGO did, despite the numerous updates. And worst of all, there's no communication from Valve. Some people say Valve is distant now because the community always bashes them when they promise things that don't end up happening. But that's no excuse. They're big boys that are being paid very well to do 5 minutes of work every month. They should lay out their plans and address criticism instead of always ignoring it. Valve will never change, and the game will never be as good as it could be, because too many people are sheep and settle for mediocrity. You always have the soy boys who go and defend a billion-dollar company as if their life depended on it. You have the masochists who have been playing for over 10 years and are too addicted, so they settle for all the shit that Valve throws at them because they're in too deep. You have the whales who don't care about the game and only care about opening cases and gambling. You have the consumerist bots who mindlessly spend their hard-earned money to buy overpriced pixel goy slop. Then you have the geeks who actually go to majors and pay to watch rich nerds play a video game on a screen, and somehow they're not completely embarrassed to attend one of these events. Maybe my next state of CS2 in 2030 will actually be positive for once.